What's cracking, everybody? We welcome you into Best Ball Live. James Koh here with you, joined alongside this week by the great Danny Kelly, staff writer for The Ringer, and he's a co-host for the Ringer Fantasy Football Show as well. Go ahead and give him a follow on Twitter, on Instagram, at Danny B. Kelly. Danny, we appreciate you joining the show, man.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me on.
I am stoked because for the folks who don't know, I have been following Danny Kelly for years now, and he's a great follow. Follow him there. And I'm excited to draft a team with Danny, the great Danny Kelly. I am pumped up, my man.
Yeah, this is going to be really fun. I was telling you before the show, I'm not a connoisseur of best ball, so this is just going to be like a lot of fun for me. I do play some best ball, but I'm in Washington, so you know how it goes. I got to do the team up thing. So this is going to be really fun. Let's do this.
And as you guys can see on my screen, we're going to be entering the puppy, which is kind of like Best Ball Mania. It's like Best Ball Mania Light, you know. First place gets there's 250,000 in prizes, as you guys can see, and first place gets 50,000. It's still a $5 entry. We're really excited about it. This is going to be kind of a fun little thing. It's obviously like a giant pool of players, and we'll see how it goes. We have not entered it quite yet because from what I understand, I haven't played this format either, but from what I understand, these contests do fill up pretty quick. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to get right into it. But before we do, Danny, I know you don't play a ton of best ball, but I don't know, what's your kind of thought process behind, what should we be doing here? You know, we're going to be combining our football knowledge as we draft this team.
Well, I think it depends. Do we know our draft slot yet?
We don't.
I guess
you know what? Let me just enter the draft and let's see where we're at. Yeah.
Also, since we're playing so many people, does it pay to be weird? Does it pay to get a little bit weird? Okay.
Yes, absolutely does. Oh, wow.
7.
We just dropped in 1.7.
All right.
I actually, to me, this is actually ideal because you can kind of sort of play draft prices and still get your guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like this because there still could be like one of the elite running backs there. Or, maybe Kelsey's there. Maybe, you go Tyreek Hill. I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Are you a zero RB guy at all?
I mean, I definitely subscribe to the notion that it works. Running backs are funny to me. I'm always scared off by running backs. I basically can talk myself out of every running back.
Me too.
You know what I mean?
100%. 100%.
And so like the anti-fragile thing is like take a bunch of receivers that are just going to blow up, take a bunch of other guys, good quarterbacks, blah, 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 and then just bank on running backs going to hell. Like it just resonates with me, I guess. So
you love the chaos just like me.
It's like, and it's like the idea is you get to root for chaos. Like you get to not that you're rooting for injuries, but you are rooting for chaos.
Yes.
And it's just going to happen. I mean, like a couple of the top guys are going to get hurt and your team could be screwed. So, yeah.
Also, we're giving away 3 entries. God, this in the first round, it always goes so fast, but we're giving away 3 entries into Best Ball Mania. So it's a $25 entry. All you got to do is be subscribed to my YouTube channel, and we'll throw it out there. If you guess my 5th round pick, okay, then we will give you a free entry into Best Ball Mania 2. And also, we're giving away 3, so we might have to do this a few rounds here. But we are on the clock, Danny. What you thinking, pal?
I mean, I'm a big Zeke guy this year.
Are you?
Yeah, I think you never want to buy too much into the best shape of their life narrative,
but you're gonna do it.
But I totally am buying it this year. Like he comes into camp like fat, like you know what I mean. Like sometimes, and he's still really good. But I'm not buying the whole he's washed up thing. He's on the downside of his career. I think you want to be in a good offense. I think the Cowboys are going to score a lot of points. They're going to have a lot of plays, and he's going to catch a lot of passes. So yeah, I'm all in on Zeke this year.
I think you're talking about basically a very basic concept, right? Which is basically the lead back in what is supposed to be a very good offense. Yeah. You want that guy.
And I think he is the guy. Like I know that Pollard is good, and some people might make the argument that he's like more, I guess efficient than Zeke and maybe just a better running back than Zeke. But I still think the Cowboys, because of the financial commitments, because it's just who they are, they're going to ride Zeke. And he is the guy there. You know what I mean? So I'm all in on that.
The only thing I would say, I'm not a big Zeke guy this year. So already we've got a team that I probably would not draft.
Fair enough.
But I will say this though, I think the upside is certainly there. It's just that we were just talking about this, but golly, man, like I could certainly talk myself off of any running back in the first round, and I feel like I've done that repeatedly with Ezekiel Elliott. I'm just worried about kind of like the overall workload that he has seen throughout his career. That's
right. I get that, and I totally, like I said before, like, you have to just expect a few of these guys are going to not make it through the whole season, but trying to predict it is impossible in my mind. It's like we've heard the same arguments about Derrick Henry his whole career. Zeke has been pretty darn durable, for how many carries he's gotten, how much action he gets. So I don't know. Live on the edge. The one thing I love about Zeke too, no matter what, like the dude, for whatever reason, and there's no like metric to like really capture this, but I just feel like, golly, you get him around the end zone, he finds his way in somehow, like he's just one of those elite touchdown makers. And again, I know there's like some limited metrics in regards to that, but just watching him play, man, he just has a nose for the end zone, and you could certainly appreciate that. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. I use that term all the time, touchdown maker. I don't know, like you said, if it's actually a talent or a skill. But some guys just are touchdown makers, and I'm gonna lean towards those guys.
All right, man. So Zeke with our first pick. We're one pick away here. We could go running back again. There's a bunch of really good wide receivers still on the board too. You take a look at like Adams, AJ Brown, Justin Jefferson. Certainly some great players. Certainly on the board here.
Yeah. How you feel? Yeah, because I guess tell me about your ideal, or if you have one, like fantasy build. We got 28 seconds here, but do you want to go like super like run heavy early on?
I'm down for whatever, man. Yeah, absolutely. I'm down for it all. I mean, I think I do think that Adams here though is a pretty good value.
All right, let's go Adams, since we did all that talk about being anti-fragile and everything. Although I guess with him potentially not playing with Aaron Rodgers, that's kind of risky. We'll see.
It is a little bit, which is why I think he fell this far, right? Like we got him in the middle of round 2, which is pretty far for the guy who was the wide receiver 1 last year.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like, and even if Rodgers does miss a few games, like in the games that Rodgers hasn't played over the years, I still think Davante Adams gets like a huge target share. Right. He's still going to get, it's kind of like the Michael Thomas discussion. We don't know who the quarterback is going to be in New Orleans, and that's depressing his value and depressing his ADP. But at the end of the day, he's still the clear cut number 1 guy in that offense in the passing game. And he's going to get his targets. He's going to get targets, and you want to chase volume. Ideally, obviously, like Aaron Rodgers, the MVP is passing the football, but I think even if he's not, he's still going to get volume, and he's still going to be valuable. And ultimately, at the end of the day, I've waffled on this, but I do think that Rodgers is going to play like most, if not the entire season.
Did you watch the match at all?
I watched the highlights a little bit. He's pretty non-committal.
Yeah, he was very evasive about playing for week 1, which is, I don't know, it's like kind of funny, it's like you could read it however you want, but I found that to be very fascinating, the fact that he was super evasive about whether or not he was going to play week 1 against the Saints.
I thought it was hilarious because everybody had their psychological reading of his body language, and he's just being non-committal because he doesn't want to paint himself into a corner with anything. He's not saying he's not going to play. Like, obviously he didn't opt out. Well, this is something we heard yesterday. So I don't know. We'll see. But at the end of the day, I think, he's just going to bite the bullet, end up playing. We'll see.
All right. A pick away here. Boy, the world is our oyster. If you like tight end,
really
George Kittle, Terry McLaurin is there. You just got done talking about Michael Thomas. But again, if you guys want that free entry into Best Ball Mania 2, again, the $1 million contest for Underdog, just guess our 5th round pick. It is coming up. All right, 20 seconds to go. What you thinking?
I'm thinking we go receiver here again. I think. Okay. I love McLaurin.
Me too.
That one, that's just kind of an easy one.
I didn't want to say anything. But I was secretly hoping you would say Terry McLaurin. For me, man, I just feel like Terry McLaurin, in terms of when we talk about range of outcomes, Danny, being the top scoring wide receiver, the wide receiver 1.1 is in the range of outcomes. And when you can get that guy in the 3rd round, in the middle of the 3rd round, no less, you feel pretty good about that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he's such an interesting one because he's what we were just talking about. He's done everything that he's done so far in his career with like at times atrocious quarterback play, right?
Atrocious.
And we assume that we're going to get the good version of Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think we will. He's much more liable, or he's much more apt to pass the ball downfield, push the ball downfield. Obviously, McLaurin's speed and size and just playmaking talent, I think, is going to mesh really well with that. And again, he's the number one guy. Like, he's the undisputed number one receiver in that group. So I think he's going to get the volume that you're looking for. He's going to have much better efficiency in this passing offense, more explosive plays, hopefully. And yeah, he is the type of guy who it feels a little bit like he's underrated right now to me.
Oh,
just
100%.
I mean, you've looked at, maybe it's just because he was like that prospect profile. He came in as like an older guy. I think he was a 3rd round pick, so people are still kind of like overlooking it, but he's legit. He's like legitimately one of the most talented receivers in the NFL, and that could really show up this year with the better quarterback.
I'm just so high on Terry McLaurin this year, man. So I'm stoked that we got him on the roster. All right, here we are. We're on the clock here. We could go any number of directions here in round number 4. Now remember, it's a big tournament, so if you want to get weird, you can get weird too. But yeah, anything, any direction you want to go, we can go, man.
So, I mean, I like Godwin. I like Kupp here. I think those are the two I would root for.
Okay.
I mean, Pitts is fun, but yeah. Godwin.
Okay, so Godwin, to kind of sort of, I should have probably had those guys queued up. You know what? By the way, chat, I just want to let you guys know, I got to swerve you guys a little bit because for whatever reason, we have a little conspiracy theory going on at 4for4 that viewers or people who are in the contest find the stream and then are trying to use that intel, right? And like, so now I've got to go out and be that guy and swerve all the viewers and like talk up dudes that I like, but not in this round or whatever it is. Anyways, I probably should have more guys queued up, but I'll tell you what, taking Chris Godwin there in round 4, with Tom Brady and all those things, like, yeah, you're feeling pretty good about that.
Yeah, I mean, he did what he did last year with multiple injuries. With there was that bout with drops because he had that finger injury, and I feel like the Buccaneers offense didn't really even get going until halfway through the year. So it's going to be very interesting. Camp. Yeah, exactly. And Brady playing a new offense, playing with new guys. Exactly. It's going to be super interesting to see how the target rates kind of like. How everything shuffles out, because at the end of the year it was like basically Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown all sort of just splitting everything pretty evenly when it comes to like the target rate. So obviously that's not ideal for Godwin, but I think there is a world where he just is like, he emerges as the guy this year. You know what I mean? Like plays out of the slot a lot. Evans is obviously more of a red zone target. His target share was pretty low.
Right.
So I think there's a solid chance Godwin is the best receiver in this group right now. Obviously Antonio Brown, but
Danny, do you remember that game? Speaking of Mike Evans, do you remember that game last year where I think he only had 2 targets, 2 receptions, and they were both for touchdowns?
Like 2 yards. Yeah.
2 yards.
They're both. He is the new goal line fullback. He's essentially
so crazy, man.
6'5". He's like
Jerome
Jimmy Graham basically. So. Yeah, he's a red zone guy. It's
so funny, man.
It's bizarre.
All right, here we are, round 5. I hope we get some good guesses here. If you guess my pick right, if you guess our pick right, you get a free $25 entry into Best Ball Mania 2. So, what are you thinking, Danny?
So we could go quarterback here, I suppose.
We could. Lamar is on the board. Names that look good: Deontay Johnson, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. A lot of guys.
Are you leaning one way or another?
No, absolutely not.
Let's go Lamar.
Let's do it.
I can almost
guarantee you no one guessed that. Did anyone guess that? Let's see. No? No one. I don't think anyone guessed it. That's okay though. Hey, listen, we're just gonna keep it rolling, baby. Guess the 6th round pick. Guess the 7th round pick. Keep it going. Just guess the pick.
Did people think we were gonna wait longer on quarterback then? I guess.
Probably. I mean, hey, listen, when you get two, relatively savvy, experienced fantasy guys, like seeing quarterbacks go in the first 5 rounds is pretty rare. You know.
I'm one of those guys. Yeah, like I've been a long time subscriber to late round quarterback, but this year I do feel like it's changing a little bit. Those guys that can run have just that extra boost on your team, and it is worth like reaching a little bit. Plus, like at that tier, there is some question. Like there's some question marks with the other guys around it. Like you mentioned Deontay Johnson, who I don't fully trust. Like I know he's an elite like route runner. He separates, he gets open, but I still just don't trust that guy. You know what I mean? Like I called this like 3 or 4 weeks before he got benched, like in the game. I'm like, this guy, Deontay Johnson, is one of those players who is literally either the best receiver in the NFL or he's going to get benched or he's getting benched. That's how just, I guess, chaotic he is as a player. You know what I mean? So, I mean, at the end of the day, I think he's going to get a lot of targets, but it was
kind of crazy too, though, because like for what it was like, I don't know, like it was the case of the dropsies was like contagious at one point. Like, remember when they signed like Dante Moncrief and like Moncrief was supposed to be like that outside X receiver for them, and he couldn't catch a cold, man. Like it was bad. It was bad. And then all of a sudden, Deontay Johnson now just can't catch balls. Like it's crazy to me.
I heard some theories, and this actually does make some sense in my mind, that the high rate at which he ran like slants essentially, and those middle of the field plays, passes, and everything, like those league wide, the drop rate is highest on those plays because I mean, I don't know if you've ever gone around and like ran routes and caught balls, but like those are hard to catch. Honestly, those are the hardest to catch. Number one, you're in traffic. Number two, you're running sort of like perpendicular to the direction the ball is coming. So it's like harder. The perspective is harder to kind of pick up the ball. You're not getting like floated passes over the shoulder. It's high velocity, P rods right at you. And so like, I understand why those passes are harder to catch. And so maybe it was just like he was running so many just straight slants, like little short things like from Big Ben, that was a big reason that he was having so many drops. But I'm not trying to excuse it because it was bad, but I think I don't think he's like a bad player. It's just chaos.
No. He's a great player, man. And I'm excited to see him bounce back here. All right. Round 6, Danny Kelly. What are we thinking? We've got quarterback. We've got 1 running back. We've got 3 wide receivers. We actually have a pretty damn balanced team, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I kind of like the idea of going receiver here.
Okay.
Who we got at the top of the list?
We got Robbie Anderson, Devontae Smith, Jerry Jeudy.
Let's do Jeudy.
Oh, God. I hope I got him. Did I?
Yeah,
yes. You got him. Under the gun. Under the gun.
We
just got him.
Probably start planning ahead a little bit better.
That was exciting. I'm not going to lie to you. Good Lord. I think Judy's going to have a huge bounce back campaign, by the way. And again, you talk about, some of the drops. He obviously had a ton. Drew Lock did him no favors. One of the most inaccurate quarterbacks, one of the worst quarterbacks in all of the NFL last year. Yeah. By any metric. But Jerry Jeudy's, what was his catch rate? His catch rate last year was just embarrassingly low. And it just didn't make any sense, but it was so bad. But I do think, again, no training camp last year, right? I think with the training camp getting, and if I'm the Denver Broncos or if I'm a Broncos fan, I am hoping Teddy Bridgewater wins it out in camp, right? Yeah. Bring a little bit of stability to that quarterback position. And if we can kind of glean anything from what we've seen in Teddy's career with what Jerry Jeudy does, you would imagine he's going to see a lot of those targets in that intermediate area of the field where Jerry Jeudy works. Right.
Yeah, and Bridgewater, he had 2 top 24 receivers last year, right? And Robbie and DJ Moore. I think ultimately Drew Lock has like a higher ceiling in terms of if he does make a jump, his skill set just makes that offense. He has ability to elevate that offense more than Bridgewater might. But I think if we're talking about floor plays and just getting, the ball into the hands of the playmakers, I think Bridgewater is a better situation there. So, Yeah, I'm with you. I think you got to be rooting. If you have Judy, you probably want to be rooting for Bridgewater because he's probably just going to pepper him with targets.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
All right. So here we go. We are a pick away. We've got 4 wide receivers, which is fine. I think we could still go wide receiver if there's one you like. If you like running back, this is the dreaded running back dead zone, but still, again, some players that are pretty enticing. If you believe in San Francisco, their running backs certainly have some upside. I don't know, Danny, what are you thinking?
Well, I think the best values here are probably the receivers. I think that, I like Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's see. Let's go back to running backs actually here. Trey Sermon is kind of a fun, gamble. Let's just do Trey Sermon. I mean, Gaskins.
A little Trey Sermon.
Yeah.
A little Trey Sermon, upside pick, which I don't
exactly.
hate. Yeah.
Gaskins probably much more. He's a safer option. He's going to get more volume, surely, I'm guessing.
Right. But that's not this league, though. That's not best ball. You know what I mean? You need that guy that can break off a 50-yard run to the crib, right?
And also, I think, with that in mind, they might ride the hot hand or have a rotation, but I think Sermon is for sure going to give you some spike weeks this year, right? And
he's a good player, too. I mean, let's be real. That guy was incredibly productive at Ohio State, and now he plays in a Shanahan outside zone run scheme. Sign me up for that all day long.
Yeah, absolutely. And they traded up to get him, so they obviously clearly like this guy and think he's a perfect fit for them. So, I'm into it.
All right, so taking a look at our running backs, it's Zeke and Trey Sermon. Wide receivers look really strong, in my opinion, when you got Adams, Terry McLaurin, Godwin, and Jerry Jeudy. I'm just going to take so let's just take a quick look at the bye weeks. Bye weeks are still looking pretty decent. McLaurin and Godwin do have the same bye in week number 9. But overall, the build this is a balanced build, if I'm being honest,
Yeah. Feels like, what's going on with the receivers? What are the receivers we got right now?
Let's take a look.
So we got Godwin. How do you feel about doing 2? Well, and then we're going to worry about
I have no problems. Look, Danny, I have no problems doing anything because I'm the guy that takes Trey Sermon and Raheem Mostert in back-to-back picks. You know what I mean?
Fair.
Stacking in the same team, I have no problems whatsoever. Now, that being said, we do have Lamar Jackson. At some point, guys like Mark Andrews and Rashad Bateman and Marquise Hollywood Brown do become enticing because of the whole stacking option.
Let's see. Is Mark Andrews still on the board?
That's a great question. I guess he's not.
He's gone.
I'm speaking out of turn.
Let's see here. Go back to the running backs. We could do the rookie running back thing and grab Michael Carter here.
All these guys are a little.
You cannot. You just got taken.
They're all a little, whatever's though. You know what I mean?
I mean, Antonio Brown is maybe it's silly to get 2 of the Bucs receivers, but
not at all. Not at all. I think Antonio Brown's great. And again, when we're talking about just getting spike weeks from guys, tell me Antonio Brown came in off the couch and was still a damn good player. What is this going to look like when he's got, the off season and training camps and stuff to build a little rapport with Tom Brady, who obviously must like the guy.
Tom Brady loves Antonio Brown. He let him move into his house. So, I mean, there's that.
You know what I mean?
So what are we thinking next?
That's a great
pretty much anything.
Question. We really can. As you guys can see, we've taken 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, and 5 wide receivers. With this build, we're probably looking at 1 more quarterback. We're probably looking at about 3 tight ends. The way we're kind of sort of going now. But yeah, in these middle rounds certainly can go any direction.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Well, we just take best player available, I guess. We don't have to take any one position.
Let's just take a quick look at quarterback. For example, let's say you love Matt's, because keep in mind, by the way, it's still a 12-person league, even in a tournament, because you've got to get this. You've got to come in first or second place out of this 12-team league, and then that's how you advance in round 15. So, again, you still, if you want to flood a position, you certainly can do that. Quarterback is, it's not enticing, but it's something there. Running backs, I don't necessarily know if any of these guys are really speaking to me. I really like Darrell Henderson. Maybe not this early, but I do like him.
Right. I'm with you. Who else we got at receiver right now?
Receivers, everyone's ranting and raving about Elijah Moore. We know Corey Davis is going to have a role. Can Henry Ruggs kind of sort of, bounce back after an awful campaign in 2020?
I'm down to take Elijah Moore. I love that guy.
Okay. I like it too.
It's one of those things where you're banking on he's a rookie in a offense with a rookie quarterback and a new offensive coordinator, new system. So there's obviously a lot of question marks there, but everything we heard about this guy in training camp or whatever, in OTAs, is that he looks like they got someone special. And these seasoned B reporters who have been around are like, we've never seen anybody like this in the OTAs. I'm like, maybe there's something there. I loved him as a prospect, so maybe that's just confirmation bias. But
so I was going to ask you. So when I was kind of sort of watching a lot of Elijah Moore tape, again, he profiles, at least physically and obviously the way he was used, as a slot guy. Yet Jet beat reporters are convinced that he will be the second wide receiver alongside Corey Davis when they go too wide, which quite honestly might be a lot, Danny. So, does this guy have it in his skill set to play that flanker position?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he does. The size thing is a concern, I guess. But he's really, really quick off the line. He plays big. He plays bigger than you'd think. Like when I was watching him play, I never really thought, he's smaller, he's slight. He plays big. He plays physical, tenacious, really, really quick twitch, good footwork. Yeah. He actually did remind me of watching Antonio Brown, like the way he gets off the line, the way he attacks the football in the air. We don't ever have to worry about Antonio Brown playing on the outside. Like he's just good. He's just a baller. I kind of think that Elijah Moore is built in that same mold. I'm not saying he's Antonio Brown, but it does sound like they're going to play him at the Z spot or whatever. And that's why they work to get Jamison Crowder back in the mix. Give him a pay cut or whatever, but they kept him and wanted to keep him because I think he's their slot guy.
Shocker. That was just a shocker.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys could save yourself a ton of money on the cap. Anyways, whatever. We can't be talking about salary cap when we got this best ball draft going on, but here we are. We're on the clock already, Danny. What you thinking?
So is it too early, or do you think it's interesting to stack Brady with these Bucs receivers that we got?
I was thinking the exact same thing. I love it.
All right.
We've got our two Bucs guys. And you're thinking, well, you guys spent a 5th round draft pick on Lamar Jackson. Like, why are you taking another quarterback early, or early-ish, right? Because we just took him in the 10th round or whatever. But again, just kind of play. I'm with you. I think you kind of sort of play your team. And if you've got 2 Bucs, why not? Why not?
Yeah. Their offense, they pass a lot. They're going to score a lot of points.
Right.
And I'm just really interested to see what Brady is going to do after a full offseason in this group.
Right.
I understand the value question in terms of like where we drafted him, but I don't know. I still think that there's a chance that he just goes, even at age 43, just goes off this year.
and to be honest with you, we don't need him to just, if he gets 40 touchdowns, great. We don't need to capture all 40 of those. We just need to get those games where he goes for, he has that 3 touchdown game or a 4 touchdown game. Those are the games we need when we're talking about a second quarterback. But for now, I would say we could pretty much lay that position to rest. Obviously when you spend 2 of your top 10 picks on quarterback, if something goes wrong, you're probably done anyways, right? So running back, wide receiver, tight end, and let me just take a quick look at tight end here because we are in round 11. I'm sensing that there might be a tight end run coming up pretty soon.
So who do you like here? Because Gesicki is essentially the Dolphins slot receiver last year,
right?
And now they have Waddle. and now they have Will Fuller.
Will Fuller too. I mean, such a competition for targets.
Hunter Long.
Preston Williams at some point is probably going to come back.
Yeah.
It's just it's a heavy competition for targets. I understand the talent level, Danny, but I'm just off of Mike Gesicki this year.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. And I think that Troutman is such a trendy name right now.
Yeah.
That assuming he doesn't get taken right here, I don't know if he'll last another round. If you want to grab Troutman.
Well, he won't. Yeah, he won't. But I am surprised. I'll queue up both guys, but I am actually surprised that Robert Tonyan isn't getting a little bit more love. We're talking about a guy who was the tight end 3 last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like obviously the worry is he had 11 touchdowns and 36 catches or something like that. So right. I don't know how
right. Yeah. If that efficiency really can hold up. Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
So I think that's the big worry. I could be off on how many catches he had, but it was like some ridiculous number.
Some crazy. Right. Exactly.
So I don't know. We'll see. But
okay. So our first tight end in round 11, don't totally hate it. Adam Troutman. I got to be honest with you, Dan. I haven't drafted Troutman in any drafts yet, so I'm kind of stoked actually that I've got some exposure to Troutman.
Yeah, he is. So second year guy, so obviously that's a risk. But he's in an offense where he could be legit the number 2 guy in that offense behind Thomas and then also Kamara. But then he could be the third option in the passing game. There's just basically a bunch of guys: Traquan Smith, Marcus Callaway. We don't really know who that's going to be. But if Jameis is the starter, he's famously targeted his tight ends pretty heavily over the years. I could easily see Troutman, if not having a few spike weeks, like breaking out for real this year. So I kind of like that pick.
Yeah, man. All right. So we have a few picks, 6 picks away. Let's just take a look at the board here because I got to be honest with you, it starts getting a little dicier.
Yeah.
Especially once you get into round 12. But I will say this too. It's like, again, just the way we've kind of sort of built, we really can just go best available at this point. If there are any bye weeks we got to take a look at, it's round, if you want another wide receiver.
Yeah.
Around, a week 9 bye is tough right now because we've got 3 of our top guys on buys that week.
Yeah. So I kind of like the idea of Paris Campbell. I think is an interesting one. Obviously, he had that big week 1 last year, and then broke his knee. What did he break? He had a knee injury, right? A serious knee injury that kept him out the rest of the year. Who else is on here in terms of receivers? Scroll down the receiver list.
Emmanuel Sanders there in Buffalo, pass heavy scheme. Can John Brown stay healthy? Oh my goodness. Terrace Marshall is somebody I love.
Yeah, he's
Joe
good.
Brady in that Carolina offense, man.
I mean, yeah, I'd be down to go with Terrace Marshall or Paris Campbell. I think, either of those guys could have big years, surprisingly good years. Terrace Marshall playing the slot in that offense, though, is pretty interesting because Darnold loves targeting the slot. Right.
Although Danny, I struggle with my Darnold eval and like trends and all those things because Gase really loves throwing it to the slot. Like remember Jarvis Landry had that like 110 catch season or whatever it was. I think he had like 110 catches for like 950 yards or something stupidly small,
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, and then Jamison Crowder obviously has excelled once Adam Gase came up there to New York too. So I kind of sort of feel like for whatever reason, like Gase's offense kind of funnel targets to the slot, which is the dumbest thing in the whole world that you could do. But that's why he's
that is true. Yeah, I think that is true. But the other thing I think that is interesting is like not only has Darnold traditionally fed the slot receiver in the offenses that he's played, but if you go back to when Brady was, I think he was the passing game coordinator for LSU in that 2019 season when they just went off on people.
Right.
Am I screwing up the year? I believe that's what year it was. And that was the year Justin Jefferson had like 100 plus catches or whatever. He just had huge production playing it mostly in the slot that final year. So, maybe that transfers over. I might be reaching here, but I do think it is a big part of like the passing game that Brady is going to want to implement. Last year, it was Robbie Anderson who got a lot of those short and intermediate routes. So maybe this year it's Terrace Marshall. We'll see.
I'm excited about it. You look at the size and the speed combination. Obviously familiar with what this offense might bring to the table. I think he can absolutely explode, especially in the back half of the season. But we are on the clock. We've got 7 wide receivers drafted, 2 quarterbacks. Okay. So, again, we could go any direction you want. In terms of running backs, just straight handcuffs, Madison is attractive. If you're looking for PPR points, Tariq Cohen is certainly there. James White too.
So it's half PPR, right? So Hines, I guess, isn't quite as. Oh, we got Hines.
Well, we got Hines, and whether you like it or not, Danny, we got Hines.
I was going to try and talk you into Hines. I think he's going to have a role. I think he's going to have a role in that offense, and obviously, if not Michael Thomas, but Taylor goes down, then it could be huge for him. So
I think Hines, to your point, they're going to find ways to manufacture touches for him regardless. I don't care who's their starting running back. They're somehow going to figure out a way to get Nyheim Hines the ball because he's such a great athlete, and has shown a lot of wiggle in his game too. So
yeah.
I actually like the pick because I think he does have some standalone value.
Yeah, same here. And the Colts run game is one of those offenses or whatever units that every week it seems like a different guy is scoring touchdowns for him. So Hines could be one of those guys that gets like 2 touchdowns in 1 week, and just kind of gives you that spike that you're looking for.
All right, man. So we've got we could pretty much still go any direction here now that we've got 3 running backs, and especially 2 of them being, one being Ezekiel Elliott and the other one being Trey Sermon. But yeah, we can go any direction, probably other than quarterback, but that's probably where we can go.
Yeah. We still feel light at running back.
For sure. 100%.
Bernard is an interesting one because I think that, again, we're stacking Bucs. Might as well go for Bernard because it feels like he's going to have that passing game usage, James White role that we are looking for. So he might be an interesting one. And if you look at what the 2 running backs, Fournette, Ronald Jones did last year in the passing game, like those 2 guys were pretty atrocious in that area.
God, they were bad.
And it feels like Tom Brady, who has had some hand in the personnel moves that they've made over the years. Yeah. So, maybe he was instrumental in bringing in Bernard. We'll see. If Bernard goes here, we can obviously switch. I don't know. So we're good. I kind of like the Bernard one here, though, since we're going running back light here.
I do too. And especially again with that, kind of sort of playing our own draft, and it's like for better or worse, we've kind of stacked the Tampa Bay Bucs. And to me, I just think like, listen, if you're going to go in, you know what I mean? So, and that is what we've done here.
In on a team that in the realm of possibility could be the best offense in the NFL. Right.
Oh, for sure.
I think there's a chance this team is one of the top scoring offenses in the NFL. So,
the other thing that we haven't really talked about is the Bucs division, right? Like it's more of like a wide open division in terms of like teams are going to score points. You know what I mean? So
right.
The Bucs will continue to, I think, have to keep up, which is very enticing for me, even despite the fact that they do have a very good defense too. I think the competition, level of competition, the level of offenses that they're going to see in the NFC South will still allow for them to, keep the air in the ball and still throw the ball a lot.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And Arians is never going to be, at least he doesn't seem to me like a guy who's ever going to be like, let's just go slow. Let's, be really conservative here.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I like it. I like the Bucs. I think, they're no risk it, no biscuit with Tom Brady and like this skill group. And it's just like, I think they're going to score a ton of points. I like this stat here too. Top 5 projected fantasy playoff schedule.
I know. So I like
sweet.
it.
Someone asked about Claypool. I like Claypool a lot this year. I think it's just one of those things where the talent is going to win out.
Okay.
And I think he's really talented, really, really athletic. He's like elite athlete. They took his role. Basically, Tomlin came out and said he was worried about workload, like the rookie wall or whatever in the second half of the year, because they play longer seasons in the NFL. He was just worried about that. But I really like Claypool. I think he's eventually going to emerge as the guy, the alpha in that offense. I don't know. Obviously there's big question marks about Roethlisberger this year. Well, let's make our pick here, and then I'll finish my thought.
Okay.
Yeah, who are you thinking? Go Rob?
Do you want to? I kind of want to.
I have no idea if it makes sense, but let's do it.
I kind of want to.
Sure.
Just go all again, when we're talking about tournament format, it's like you do have to get a little weird sometimes, you know?
This team is going to score touchdowns, so we're going to have all of them.
The way we've drafted our team, if I'm being 100% honest with the people watching, I feel bad about the Lamar pick now, because but we didn't know that at the time. That's fair. We didn't know it at the time. Like when we're building, when you're drafting in the moment, it's like, listen, sometimes you got to plan and you go a little off script, and then all of a sudden you're going down this rabbit hole, which is what happened here.
Should have been Evans.
It should have been Evans.
Their entire receiving core. Oh well.
No, but I kind of like it though. I do kind of like that. Again, it's like at the tight end position, Troutman, Rob Gronkowski, different bye weeks. It's great. Screw it. Let's do it.
This works. So you want to do one more tight end probably before the end?
Yeah, at some point. And when you look at what's left, by the way, when you look at what's left on the board, there's really not a lot. OJ Howard, yes.
That would be so dumb, but also awesome.
I love it, man. I absolutely love it. But no, you take a look at what's left on the board. There's not a whole lot, you know.
We can do last pick, tight end, I guess. What do we got?
I was really hoping that like Jared Cook was going to be somewhere around there, but obviously got taken. My instincts were kind of right too. Like there was a big run on tight ends right after we took our guy.
Man, down to scraps at receiver here.
Yeah.
Eskridge is an interesting one because
Seattle area, Danny.
So I don't have necessarily high hopes he'll get volume, but
okay.
If Lockett or DK Metcalf gets hurt, like he's going to be the number 2 guy in that offense. So I think he is somewhat interesting as sort of like, not that there are handcuff receivers, but I trust the Seahawks offense, and they obviously have a vision for Eskridge. He's the kind of guy who, we're on the clock here. Who do we want to do here? Chuba Hubbard is an interesting one because, that's just straight handcuff, but could be a league winner.
I'm gonna panic pick Chuba because I agree with you. Like you kind of sort of this roster needs a little bit of chaos, just a little bit. And if CMC does get banged up and come on. He got banged up extensively last year, and we're talking about a position group running back that is very fragile anyways. Chuba was incredibly productive in college. And when we talk about just straight handcuff, I don't know, Danny. I think Chuba, if he walks into that, CMC role, we're talking about a guy that is like, would be widely considered a top 12 running back in fantasy.
Yeah. I think at this point, you got to kind of take some swings on guys. And he's kind of one of those, like he could get you 0 points literally this season, but
100%. And really that's kind of sort of as just overall football fans, we're kind of sort of hoping that, right? Because that means that CMC totally. Has played all 17 games and has been balling out, which would be great.
Yeah. Okay. So what are you feeling now in terms of position? How many picks do we have left?
Okay, so we're around 17. So I think there's 2 left.
Yeah.
Yep. 2 picks. We're on the clock.
So receiver potentially or tight end. What are we looking at here? Or do you want to go another running back?
I could go any direction.
Let's see. We got 8 seconds. I kind of like the where was he? Josh Palmer. If he just emerges as like the number 2 guy in that offense.
Oh, okay, great. Oh wait, no.
Darnold.
Sam Darnold. That was a misfire, folks.
That was a little too much indecision there.
That was a misfire, folks. That was a misfire. But you know what? If we're gonna misfire in the 17th, let it be in the 17th round. So that's fine.
People are gonna look at this and be like, "What is the plan here?
What is this guy's deal? Why is this guy drafting 3 quarterbacks and they're Lamar Jackson, Tom Brady?
Oh well.
Oh my goodness, unbelievable.
So we got
by the
one
way,
pick now.
I think in all of this talking, by the way, we've completely missed the boat on all Baltimore players. Like I need to keep a much closer eye on Rashad Bateman, and I completely lost him in my sights. I don't even know. I have no idea where he went, but we obviously lost him pretty badly.
Oh well. So we got one pick left?
We got one pick left, and quite honestly, I think it kind of sort of needs to be tight end.
All right. So yeah. I mean, OJ Howard staring us in the face here. Dalton Schultz is an interesting one.
I was thinking that too. Dalton Schultz. I mean, look, I get it. Blake Jarwin, but what was the severity of Blake Jarwin's injury?
Right.
Will he be back? There's a lot of negative camp buzz around Chris Herndon, which is not that surprising, to be honest with you. But yeah, there's really it's light.
It's slim pickings down here.
It is light.
Harrison Bryant. Oh, Tebow.
Tim Tebow?
No, let's not do that.
I don't even think he's going to be on an NFL roster, but we'll see.
I don't know. Dalton Schultz might be a good one, or I mean, at this point, we're just like,
yeah, we're clutching at straws here.
Njoku.
If there was anyone, I guess Tyler Kroft was getting some positive camp vibes in Jets camp, which is why Chris Herndon, I think, is not draftable. I think Will Dissly is actually an interesting player too.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm intrigued that he's still on the board.
Kylen Granson. Talk
to me about Kylen Granson. I don't know who the hell Kylen Granson is.
He's definitely sort of under the radar guy, but he's gotten a little bit of hype, and he's apparently Frank Reich's dude. Like,
really
wanted to pick him. Getting some love. I mean, it's very low probability that he's going to do anything, but there's this chance that he comes in and he is the Trey Burton guy in this offense. Essentially, the Colts always seem to run through their tight ends, their passing game. So this would be low probability, but why not?
But you know what though? I like it. I like it a lot. Kylen Granson.
Sure.
Somebody that I have no idea who that is.
I think he's like a fourth or fifth rounder. Yeah. There's probably no chance in hell that he does anything, but you never know. Might score a touchdown here or there.
And that's all we need. We just need that 1 week. Can we get the 1 week from Kylen Granson, ladies and gentlemen? Let's take a look at the board, shall we? Let's take a look at the board. By the way, Danny Kelly, bring in that knowledge, that's what I appreciate, man.
Hopefully if Granson plays, I'll be happy this year. If he plays at all.
All right, hold on. Let me try to get this screen share up here from the entire draft. Let's see. Is it okay? Hold on now. I think this is it. Let's see if this is it. Yep. We got it. Perfect. All right, let's take a look at the draft. And again, we misfired on a couple of picks.
Darnold would probably be my last pick.
Darnold, for some reason, even though we took Lamar Jackson in the 5th and Tom Brady in the 10th.
Oh, well.
We defaulted out to Sam, but that's okay. By the way, come on, man. Don't judge us too harshly, chat, because let's be real. We're just kind of sort of sitting here shooting the shit and chatting anyways. I mean, we're talking about at one point in this draft, we're talking about salary cap implications. I mean, come on, dude, So, anyways, take a look at that draft now, Mr. Kelly, and let me know what you think. Where are we strong? Where did we struggle? Where would you have liked to, maybe zigged instead of zagged?
I mean, that's a good question. I think you're absolutely right that the Lamar Jackson pick was probably a mistake. And we're looking at some guys around in this area. Ayuk, Sutton, Galladay, Deontay Johnson, even though I was talking crap about him. Michael Gallup. Any of these guys probably would have been a better pick. But I think we're really strong at receiver, so I'm not too worried about that. Right. I think with Brady and Jackson, we're going to basically get good numbers from our quarterback every week. So that's good. The Buccaneers stack, I think, is really fun. I'm not very confident in our tight end group.
No.
but that's fine.
Yeah.
There's
I mean, how many? But how many
two
teams
or
can
three
really
teams.
say that though?
Yeah, I was gonna say like 2 or 3 teams are gonna get good weeks out of tight ends.
Right.
I like the Nyheim Hines pick actually. I think that's a good one. I feel like our running back group is very boom or bust, but I don't know. I like starting out with Zeke. I think he's going to be
Trey
solid.
Sermon's obviously going to be good. I would think for a few spike weeks. Let's hope he has a lot of spike weeks.
I would think so.
In him, which is great. But in the interim, obviously we built our team. The strength of our team is obviously the wide receivers, Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin. Well, actually, I'll just say Devontae Adams, Terry McLaurin, Tampa Bay pass catchers.
Yep.
And Jerry Jeudy is certainly in that mix. You and I are simpatico about Elijah Moore. I love Elijah Moore, and the fact that they're talking about kind of moving him to the outside a little bit to play some of that Z. I get more hyped on it. I was screaming to the heavens that can you imagine the internet or football Twitter would have broken down, Danny Kelly, if the Green Bay Packers had used their first round draft pick on Elijah Moore.
Oh my
gosh.
You
imagine? There's no better.
It would have been perfect.
It would have been perfect, and that's why I was so disappointed. It's like they have a clear need, not only for a secondary wide receiver, but specifically someone to be productive in the slot for them.
Yeah.
They have no one in the slot. Like they're trying to manufacture guys there and it's not working. Like Alan Lazard is not a slot man, it just would have made way too much sense. It would have certainly made Aaron Rodgers happy. So I'm not sure all of these things anyways, whatever. Neither
they went corner.
They went corner.
I do like Amari Rodgers, but he's not in the same stratosphere in my mind as Elijah Moore. Like, I think there's a legit chance Elijah Moore is just going to be a superstar in this league. So, I don't know, maybe that's
it would have been too much.
That's going too far, but yeah.
Football Twitter, certainly Packers Twitter, would have absolutely lost their collective minds if Elijah Moore had fallen to Green Bay Packers, but they didn't do it. They could have kept Aaron Rodgers happier. They didn't do it. So anyways, we're moving on. You're right. The two position groups or the one position group I think we're a little bit lacking probably is the tight end position, but you don't feel ever too bad about that because again, probably 10 of the 12 teams, or I guess 9 of the 12 teams are probably going to be hurting at tight end at some point anyway. So it's all good.
Yeah.
I kind of like you said, like the collection of talent, pass catching talent, even though it is only half PPR, but still guys like Nyheim Hines, Gio Bernard, Chuba is obviously a straight handcuff, which is fine. I'm going to be rooting for Kylen Granson, which I think is a lot of fun.
He's got some hype. Frank Reich's guy.
I love it.
Yeah.
By the way, can you take a quick look? The chat always likes it when we kind of sort of take a look at the other teams. And is there a team that kind of sort of stuck out to you where you say you're scratching your head? Well, they're probably looking at us scratching their heads thinking like, why the hell did they take Lamar Jackson the 5th if they're going to take anyways, whatever.
That's fair.
Which is fair. Completely fair. But is there a team that you see where you say, well, wow, I'm a little bit surprised they went that direction, and or a team where you're like, yeah, this team knocked it out?
So I'm just looking and I'm trying to scan quickly here. The Siege, who had number 1 overall, I think had a good draft. Obviously very running back heavy. So they went McCaffrey,
Super
Harris,
heavy.
CEH.
Right.
But I think I like every pick and I can see their top 10 picks. I really like all these players this year. So Adam Thielen, Josh Allen, Michael Gallup, who I think has a chance to have a big bounce back year. Tyler Boyd going to get peppered in targets. I think Noah Fant could be the next big tight end guy. Like obviously we talk about that every year. Coming right back, Logan Thomas seems like he has a pretty good floor. And then Jalen Reagor, I like that.
Can you talk about Reagor? Because there's there's a big contingent that thinks Rager's just a straight up bust. I'm not in that camp. But a lot of folks do think that Reagor could just be a straight up bust.
I mean, I think there's a chance, but I do like, and this maybe doesn't say a lot about him. This is, sort of maybe damning with faint praise or whatever, but like he fits the role of a number 2 in this offense much better, in my opinion, than as like the guy or the alpha or the number 1. I think Devontae Smith is going to be the guy, the go-to guy, and getting Rager a role where he's like, you know, playing basically he's really good run after the catch. Get him going on like crossing routes where you can outrun guys, get him in space, get him screens, you know, give him a deep shot here and there. I think that fits his skill set. He's an explosive guy. He's compact. He kind of turns into like he's like a Deebo Samuel-esque type player, but I think he's more explosive. And so getting him into a different role where, you know, not that you're going to have to like manufacture touches for him, but like just different styles of touches, I think is actually good for him. So we'll see, but I think I still am bullish on him overall. I mean, he's maybe never end up looking like a good value as a first round pick, but I think he'll be a good player, if that makes sense.
By the way, you see our buddy Sal Powell, who's producing the show behind the scenes here, kind of fly this graphic up for you. But man, this is a bargain, folks. Like if you don't have an Underdog account and you open one and deposit $10 into that new account and use that promo code BBL, you get a free 4for4 Pro subscription. That's like $50 worth. And then on top of that, they're going to give you 25 Underdog bucks as well. Right? Like think about that for a second. You know what I mean? Like talk about unbelievable value. So if you know of somebody that is thinking about playing best ball, you know, I don't know, man, like maybe you guys can figure out something, but good Lord, that is an unbelievable value. $10 in a new Underdog account will give you basically $75 worth of value in return, that's pretty nice. That is pretty nice. If I'm taking a look at the board here, Danny, one of the teams that kind of sort of sticks out to me, and I think it's a very high risk, high reward team, is team number 11 here, the T-Wolf. Again, Cam Akers, ton of upside, but also, in my opinion, a ton of downside too. Like, I think McVay has let it be known, you know, since the whole Todd Gurley situation, like they ran him into the ground, right? Like, and he's been on podcasts. Like he talked to my buddy Dan Hellie for his podcast and said, yeah, I like what Shanahan's doing up there. Like I want to run a committee, and he's shown that. He showed that last year. So I just think that Cam Akers, obviously in that system with his athleticism, can obviously explode, as we saw in stretches last year. But then again, I could also see them going with the hot hand approach, and Darrell Henderson getting a ton of love too. So high risk, high reward Cam Akers, Calvin Ridley, we love him. Robert Woods is an interesting player to me because we don't know what that chemistry is going to be like with Matt Stafford. Mm-hmm. I think Robert Woods is also, I'm not saying he's an older player, but will he lose
28, 29?
Yeah. But I mean, will he lose some of those snaps to Van Jefferson? I know Van Jefferson did nothing last year, but if I've learned anything from watching Sean McVay, it's basically that rookies don't get play. We saw that with Darrell Henderson a couple years back. We saw that with Van Jefferson this year. Rookies generally just don't really get burned in a Sean McVay offense. I think Van Jefferson, who, by the way, we talk about small sample sizes, but in small sample sizes, Danny, I loved what I saw from Van Jefferson. That kid can play.
We've heard McVay talking about him too in this offseason. Like even when they drafted, I think Tutu Atwell, he kept mentioning Van Jefferson. Like we love Van Jefferson. We love Van Jefferson. So I think he's tough for me because it is a crowded, you know, receiver core. Right. They've leaned so hard on Woods and Kupp over the years as like the two, like the 1A, 1B. You know, it's hard to say like whether he's going to do it, but he looked really good at the Senior Bowl. His college career did not give any indication that he would be a good player in the NFL or have like a major role with volume. But he looked really, really good at Senior Bowl. Son of a, I think, NFL receivers coach. So he knows like how to get open. He knows how to run routes, all that stuff. Yeah. So I'm keeping my mind.
Tough too.
Yeah. And I have probably too many dynasty shares of him because he was always available like third round, sometimes fourth round. People are like really low on him. So I'm really hoping it does pan out. I have medium hopes for him though. I think, like you said, it seems like they're really high on him, but we just haven't really seen what role he's going to play yet, if he's going to have a big role. So I'm holding out hope, but I'm not super optimistic at this point.
Yeah, and then when I look at some of the other picks that T Wolf made too, Odell Beckham again. You just talk about variance. I mean,
Yeah.
It's like, good Lord, we don't know what we're going to get with OBJ. But yeah, it's an interesting team that he has certainly built there. But those are two teams that I think kind of sort of jumped out to me and said, oh yeah, it's an interesting build. And it's probably more interesting to me because he's gone with players that I never draft. For whatever
that's
reason.
Always interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I wonder what the thought process is. I will say this. He did an awesome job stacking though, right? Like he got Matt Stafford in the 9th round to go with Robert Woods, to go with Cam Akers. Where did he go with tight end? Did he go? Well, he went to Mark Andrews. I was trying to figure out if he also went Higbee later. But no, he didn't. He went Ertz late. But yeah, no, that's interesting though. So yeah. Yeah. So any final thoughts, Danny? Where can they find your work? Give them all the promo stuff and let them know.
Yeah. So Danny B. Kelly on Twitter. You can check out my podcast, the Ringer Fantasy Football Show. I also occasionally go on to the Ringer NFL Show. The Ringer has a fantasy football draft guide coming out, I believe, next week. So you can check that out. It's in the same format as my NFL draft guide in terms of the interface. It's really, really cool. Had a lot of really fun functionality. Just looks cool. So we'll have write-ups on all the players, the top 200. So yeah, you can check it out at theringer.com.
All right. So there you go. Danny B. Kelly joining us this week. Danny, we appreciate your time, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
All right, cool guys. We appreciate you watching Best Ball Live. We'll see you guys next week. New guest, same show. Peace.